Hello, this is Steve Gibbons. We are having some technical difficulties. We were scheduled to start our conversation with Marian Love about 6 minutes ago. Please hold on. We had some trouble connecting to Facebook. So I'm trying to reach Marian so that we can get started. So uh, here we go, maybe. Let's see.
Hello.
Hi, Marian. I don't know what happened we had little technical difficulties connecting to Facebook. So I had to go ahead and create a new broadcast real quick. I
Okay.
think we're here and we'll see if people join us.
Okay.
uh, anyway, thank you. Sorry for the rush, folks. My name is Steve Gibbons. I'm the executive director of the Bridges Foundation in St. Louis. We offer what's called the 19th annotation spiritual exercises of St. Ignatius Loyola in everyday life. And we host these monthly broadcasts to talk with members of our communities, or other uh, writers, speakers who talk about all things Ignatian. So today we are here with Marian Love. Marian is one of our longtime prayer companions. She also has led our effort to train prayer companions for a number of years. And so we're here today having a little bit of a conversation about what that means. What does it mean to be a prayer companion? Um, and so, Marian, let's begin as we always do. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your upbringing, and how you came to experience the spiritual exercises for the first time. I know you've told this story before in an earlier episode, but do that again for us if you could.
Sure. Well, I'm a South St. Louis girl. I grew up in South St. Louis in a family with 7 children and Catholic education, and married a Catholic man. Um, and I don't know how much of my background you want, but I became a nurse out of high school, studied, became a nurse. And that journey as a nurse took me many places, and one of the places was working with the Jesuits in their infirmary. I worked with them for about 9 years. And one of the things that I noticed about taking care of them was in their physical diminishment, their spirituality just came forward in a way that um, I wouldn't say was as noticeable in their time before they became ill or elderly or infirm. And I was really struck by that. And I was talking to someone about it, and they mentioned the spiritual exercises to me. I'd never heard of them. My boys went to SLU High. We're going to SLU High, I guess, at that time. And, I had not really heard about that. So I looked into that, and I connected with the Bridges organization, and they provided a prayer companion for me. And part of one of my reasons for moving into this was I was feeling a call out of nursing into ministry. There was just some part of me that wanted to reach a deeper part of the person. Um, and so I received the exercises, and that call to ministry was confirmed and affirmed. So right after that, I received training. It was 2-year process training, and to be a prayer companion. And I finished that. Let's see, finished the exercises in '94 and was a prayer companion in '96. So I've been a prayer companion and involved with Bridges in various ways ever since then.
Hmm.
So
Well, that's a good jumping off place, I think, for what we want to talk about today. If someone is out there and listening to this at some point and are hearing for the first time this notion of a prayer companion, um, Tell us a little bit about, and people might think, oh, that's a spiritual director, and perhaps, and certainly there is a lot of overlap between being a spiritual director and being a prayer companion. Many of our prayer companions are spiritual directors, but not all. So, how would you talk about? I think at the heart, really, in some ways, the heart of the spiritual exercises is this relationship between that
Mhm.
develops between the retreatant and his or her prayer companion. So, can you talk a little bit about what it means to be a prayer companion, what that relationship looks like?
Yeah. Well, for me, it was a relationship of someone companioning me through something that I really knew nothing about. It was about prayer, but she would encourage me all the time, um, and provide support for me if I was getting frustrated or whatever. But mostly, she listened to me, and I became more trusting of her over time. Initially I was a little reticent about, sharing my prayer experiences with her week to week, but a trust built up, and I that was really important because then I was able to share more of my experiences to realize God in them more deeply. So the prayer companion is one who um, walks with the person, is support, encouragement, a safe place where people can share, and to allow a unique relationship to develop between the retreatant and Jesus or the Holy Spirit. It's very unique. That's what I've learned over the years. There's no two uh, retreatants alike. There's no two paths of the retreat that, it's not like a cookie cutter. Um, the person develops a very unique relationship with Christ, and um, but that requires someone who listens, who encourages, in safe space um, to help that retreatant listen.
Yeah, I've heard over the years. I'm sure you have too. Many times, people, start talking about the spiritual exercises, and they'll say something like, "Oh yeah, I got that book.
Mm,
It's been sitting
right.
on my shelf for years. I tried it once, couldn't really get into it." But there's a reason that we can't just pick up the book and do it on our own, right?
Right, right. Because there's no one there to help us listen to ourselves, uh, to help us understand how God is at work within that person. And the role of the companion is to help the retreatant to come to recognize that movement of the spirit within themselves and to listen to it themselves. And reading a book about that just
Yeah,
doesn't accomplish the same thing. So I think the companion is really an important piece of this
mhm,
as we enter into that journey of the exercises.
yeah. And that book is really there more for the companion almost than it is. It's more of a
Yeah,
guide to helping someone through these exercises. Uh,
exactly.
and
Yeah.
that's what we do at Bridges. We provide the place and the prayer companions to lead others through these exercises over about a 9 month period every year, beginning in September and going through May. So
Mhm.
we have one or two people have found us after our little technical difficulties. If you have any questions for Marian, please just drop them in the Facebook comments, and we'll see them and get to them as we can. I think there's this notion sometimes about prayer companioning, and you've been doing this for a long time, but this past year, you and I worked together to train some of our new prayer companions, and we talk a little bit about there's this kind of a dual notion of both being there with the retreatant, helping them through, as you've been saying, but also staying out of the way. So
Mhm.
how does that work?
Yeah, um, that's really important. I mean, we do have to be in there, but I think it's about staying focused on the retreatant, on their prayer experience, where we recognize the Spirit moving in them, rather than thinking about our own expectations. We really want the retreatant to have a good experience and encounter God. And sometimes that over eagerness can somehow get in the way of our paying attention. You know, uh, we might make suggestions or things like that, where really uh, we just have to be patient. I think patience for the prayer companion is essential, to just listen for what the other is saying. And I get in the way when maybe I want to tell my own experience, for example. I might hear something similar and, have this desire to interject that, but I have to, hold on to that. And maybe sometimes even to hold on to a question. A question might come in my mind to ask, and I just have to sit there and hold it, and be comfortable with the silence. And that gives the retreatant time to absorb, to reflect, to come up with their own inner answer to a question you haven't asked yet. But there's a resonance there when they come to their own inner uh, insight or wisdom or recognition of God. Um, Again, it's a unique thing. I don't know how God is going to be at work in that person. Uh, so to be curious about it, because I don't know, and wait for it to show itself is, really what our call is.
Yeah. Yeah. If there's someone viewing this at some point and um, they maybe have been through the Bridges program or they've been through the spiritual exercises and they're beginning to think, maybe God is calling me to this work. Maybe God is calling me to consider being a prayer companion. How should they pray and consider and think about that? What should they be listening for in their own lives of prayer that might lead them to that work?
Right. Well, I would ask them if, what their reasons were, what drew them to want to be a prayer companion, uh, because it's about helping the other mainly. If there's this deep desire to help the other, um, rather than maybe, oh, I think I would make a great one, so I want to do this. It's like, we might have a sense of our gifts, but it's really not us. The motivation shouldn't be self-serving, I guess I should say,
Mm,
um, because we certainly do receive graces as prayer companions, journeying with people, and learn a lot of things about ourselves as we're companioning someone else. Um, so, and I would ask them, what kind of a listener are they? Um, are they comfortable with silence?
mm,
Um, can they, you know, when they listen to other people, are they uh, non-judgmental? You know, and most often, what I hear from potential prayer companions is, people want to help another receive graces like they did, not
mm.
necessarily the same graces, but I want them to have what I've discovered, and I want to help facilitate that somehow.
Mm, yeah,
Because going in as a new retreatant, we don't have a clue in what's in store. But when it
mm,
happens in us, it's like, wow, everybody needs to know these things about God, or to have this kind of relationship.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mentioned earlier that some of our prayer companions are spiritual directors. Some spiritual directors are prayer companions, but not always. So,
Mhm.
uh, how would you describe, in general terms, the difference between the two to someone?
Well, The main difference is that it's the context of it. The prayer companions are trained in the dynamics of the spiritual exercises, and that's what their focus is, and that's the materials that they use. A spiritual director will journey with someone about all aspects of their life, but not necessarily, and that person's prayer life, but not necessarily in such an up close and personal way all the time. Do you know what I mean? To be guiding their prayer all the time.
Mm-hmm.
That's it's more about spiritual direction is more about where is God in this moment? Where is God leading me in my life now and ongoing? But the prayer companion focuses on the spiritual exercises, the movements in them. And so it's there's a structure to it, but there's also a flexibility to it, but it remains within the context of the spiritual exercises. Not to say that the person's life doesn't come into the retreat, it certainly does.
Mm-hmm.
But using the dynamics of the spiritual exercises helps the companion guide that person through it, if that makes sense. I mean, you might have a better take on that, but
No, I think
how I see
that's
it.
well said. Yeah. And so what's involved then in the training? If someone says, okay, um, that's why I want to do it, and that sounds like it's good for you. What's the training like?
Well, the person would um, participate in the Majas program, which is an ongoing learning for people engaged in the exercises, want to learn more about them, having been a retreatant. And one of the things we ask them to do is for 1 year to take the the class on the dynamics of the spiritual exercises, because we come out of that as a retreatant and have no idea the dynamics, the structure, what all are the exercises composed of, because we're praying with a particular sheet every week. And so it's a learning about the inner dynamics, Ignatius' intent as he wrote each section, um, and ways to look at, oh, what this is what was going on in me. So it's really a learning about what happened in my own retreat, and also as a way to understand the dynamics as we're guiding someone else. And that's really the most important first step, would be that. And then they would fill out an application. They would go through a interview process, and if they wanted to learn the art of companioning, then they would sign up for the Majas prayer companion training. And so again, that's like 8 months meeting for 2 hours once a month, uh, learning how to listen, what to listen for, how to help a person explore their prayer experiences, um, how to help them learn their own interior movements of the Holy Spirit. And I think as a trainee, one also learns more deeply that same process in themselves, as we're practicing that. And so involved with that training is also practice listening to each other, and getting engaged with these dynamics, and learning how to invite another person to explore their experience and how to move through the spiritual exercises.
Yeah.
And it's a year of discernment for that person. They're do a self-evaluation. They're evaluated by the facilitators of that course, and then there's a recommendation. And so if they're recommended as a prayer companion, then in the following fall they would be given a retreatant, and they would be given a mentor to meet with each week to encourage them. It's like a companion for the companion, um, and to help them, you know, uh, with what they might be struggling with, or some how-tos, some more helpful things. to help the retreatant. And then after their first year, they can receive another retreatant, and then they'll be participate in a peer group of other second year prayer companions to come together and support each other as they're companioning someone. So it's like 1, 2, maybe 4 years in total, the whole process. That we think all pieces are important for that.
Well, we have time for maybe one more question, unless there's somebody out there who has another one. If you do, please drop it in the Facebook chat. But so you're on a kind of a year of sabbatical right now as a prayer companion. But other than that, you've been doing this work for, I just did the math, if I did it right, for 27 years or something like that.
Right.
What is it that brings you back? What moments are there that kind of makes you realize how worthwhile this work is? Many of them, I'm sure, but
yes. Well, for me, it's the joy of seeing someone encounter Jesus or the Holy Spirit in a new way, or discover truths about themselves that they had not entertained, or suddenly let go of something that they've been carrying for a long time, that their relationship with the Jesus or the Spirit have helped them to let go of. I experienced a lot of joy in that, a lot of gratitude. And certainly every week meeting with someone, there are graces for the prayer companions in just listening to somebody's experience. Because as I said earlier, there's no two retreatants alike. And so you start on this journey with someone, you have no idea, how God is going to show up for them or what that's going to do for them. I mean, you have a sense of what could be, but you don't know. And so I think for me, the curiosity about that is the thing that keeps me coming back to, Yeah.
Thank you very much for that.
Mm-hmm.
We are about out of time, I think. I'll planning the next episode of Bridges on Thursday, December 14th at noon. I'm still trying to nail down who that will be, but I'd like to have a conversation right in the middle of Advent there about what it means to contemplate the Incarnation and the Nativity. So mark your calendars for that. Again, if you want more information about the Bridges Foundation and our programming, please check out our website at bridgesfoundation.org. Marian Love, thank you very much once
Thank
again
you, Steve.
for your time. It's always good to spend time with you.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Let's see. We have a question. Let's see. Our friend Dan Mose says, thanks for explaining the differences between prayer companions and spiritual directors. Excellent session. Thanks to us both. Well, thanks to you, Dan, for
thanks,
tuning in. And I guess that is it for now. We will see you all in December. Have a great Thanksgiving and the beginning of Advent. Thanks very much. Good night.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.